right, we've got Kel Richards coming on now. The word we're talking about tonight is cult. That's an interesting one, is it? Because it's all about, well, it used to be about religious fervour, but it's been weaponised, hasn't it, by political activists of all stripes to paint enemies as deranged and dogmatic. I have to say some of them, like, well, Extinction Rebellion, that might be a cult, at least to me. Let's bring him in now. Author, broadcaster extraordinaire, Kel Richards, joining me from Sydney. Tell us about cult, Kel.
Well, we're seeing the age, I think, Peter, of the secular cult. And the one you mentioned, Extinction Rebellion, is a really good example of a secular cult. Now, the word cult comes from the Latin word cultus, which just means worship. And for hundreds of years, it was used in a number of fairly technical ways. But from about 1875 onwards, it was only used in a very narrow way to mean specifically a small group of people who held beliefs and practices that were regarded as being strange or sinister. And often a cult was something that exercised excessive control over the lives of their followers. Now, Extinction Rebellion is like that. They have a charismatic leader, a bloke named Roger Hallam, and he manages to persuade his followers that they should give up their jobs, they should be full-time protesters doing nothing else, and risk a criminal record for doing that. Now, that's a very charismatic leader. It reminds you of the earlier kind of religious cults like Jim Jones. In the jungles of Guyana, he persuaded, terrible man, persuade his people to drink the Kool-Aid. So Roger Hallam seems to have that kind of power over his people. That has to be called a secular cult. Now, cults don't always need a charismatic leader. Sometimes, if they think they've got secret inside information, Peter, it can become a cult. I think anti-vaxxers are like this. Anti-vaxxers tell what they remind me of. In the ancient world, there was a cult called Gnosticism, which comes from the Greek word for knowledge, and they claimed they had secret knowledge, inside information that was not available to anyone else. Well, that's what the anti-vaxxers have. They circulate their emails to each other and go on their blogs and on their notice boards, and we know something about what's really going on with the vaccination thing. It's really about, injecting you with a microchip so that you'll be controlled by 5G networks. So it's like Gnosticism. It's this secret inside information, and that is a cult.
Well, let me just jump in there. I'm interested. How much has social media contributed to the growth and the globalisation of some of these cults? Things like Extinction Rebellion might have taken off in one country, let's say, but they are now very global. How much of that is new because of technology?
Almost totally, because cults used to be very geographical. If you're following Jim Jones or David Koresh or one of the other weird religious leaders, you were where he was and where they were. But now, with social media, it, as you said, spreads around the world. My favourite one, can I tell you, because I really like this, is an Englishman named David Icke, I-C-K-E. David Icke has written 20-odd books. He travels around the world giving lectures. And he tells people that the world is being run by shape-changing intergalactic lizards, right? Now, you and I could say, who could believe that? But he's got followers. So in the age of the social media, as you say, there's someone there ready to believe anything. We need to be aware of it, though, to keep our own sanity and common sense intact.
And we've got to help young people not to get caught up in all of it. I've got to leave it there, Kel. I could talk to you all night. If you want more Kel, head to his website, ozwords.com.au. We'll see you next week, Kel.